Hi, this is Charles Balsa for Speak NJ. Today's guest is Frank Scalcione, a candidate for council in Ward E in downtown Jersey City. Good morning, Frank.
Good morning, Charles.
Frank, you've announced that you're going to be running for council in Ward E, and I believe you're one of the first to do that. What prompted you to do it?
Well, me being an observer from the outside and looking in and see what's going on with the local politicians here in City Hall, it's really, really upsetting me what's happening to the city and what's happening to the homeowners of the city. From the overspending, the lack of accountability, the focus on the outer skirt and not focusing on the infrastructure of the city is burning me up.
Frank, downtown Jersey City is growing in leaps and bounds, and probably by the year 2010, the next census is going to show that Jersey City's downtown ward, the Ward E, will have increased by as many as 25,000 to 30,000 people. Do you believe that the city has the ability to service these people with its support services such as police, fire, EMTs, school system, and so on?
I believe with the police department, I believe we have enough police officers right now. As it increases, we do have to hire more as the population increases. But at the present time, there is no visibility whatsoever of the police department. You know, I walk around one.
You say that as a businessman.
As a businessman, right?
Okay.
You're aware of it. I'm aware of that.
Okay.
And I go out many hours in the morning, at 1, 2 o'clock in the morning. I don't see one radio car pass up right up Newark Avenue, Monmouth Street, anywhere in the city. Now, I'm driving 25 years. I want to know where these cars are. We have a lot of patrol cars parked in the parking lot. If you drive around, you see it. You know, I don't know where these officers are.
So now, you, as a candidate for council in Ward E, you've identified that as a problem. Now, take into consideration, as I said a moment ago, that the city's population in Ward E is increasing by a great number, tens of thousands of people.
That's right.
So then, if the police department is there, will they be seen at all in these new areas that are being developed, which require services?
I don't see why not. Okay. If it's a high crime area, increase the presence. If it's just a moderate, like Newport, maybe Washington Boulevard, or it's nice to see a radio car just parked there a few minutes or an hour, or a policeman patrolling 4th Street.
Well, it's interesting that you say that, but I've noticed, for instance, at Newport, there is a small police booth that's...
it's always empty.
Right, exactly.
It's always empty.
I
like to know how much that cost them.
They dedicated it, and you don't see anybody in it.
I never see anybody in it.
There's also another mini one up at Journal Square, and there's one on King Drive, I believe, and so on. But just to have the booth is not enough. I think you got to have a live person in that booth.
It's a statue. Yeah. It's empty there. They're not providing for us.
Frank, I noticed that you brought a map of Ward E downtown. What do you show on the map?
What I want.
Make sure your vines go. Or you can point to it. That's okay.
What I want to show here is the Hudson River here and Newport Mall. All this area that's being developed, all the outer skirt of Jersey City here, the Ward E, which consists of 23 districts. The infrastructure here, Van Rypen, Maple Street, and all this area here is crumbling. It's crumbling. There's no work being done for the homeowners. But in the meantime, their taxes are rising. There's no police presence whatsoever here.
You know, we've identified the fact that accountability is a big factor in running a government. Steve Fulop, who has been the councilman now for the last several years, apparently, in your opinion, has not done the job, and that may be true with other people who think that way. But in any event, how different would your approach be than Fulop's approach to government? And what would you do for Ward E other than what he's doing?
First of all, I like Steve. Steve Fulop's a nice guy on a personal level. I mean, I have nothing wrong. I don't even know him very long, but from the time I met him, he's okay. Well, he's a fine guy. But as far as doing the job, again, he might be a mathematician, and that doesn't mean he's qualified for the position. I don't see him doing anything for Ward E. All he does is try to pass these ordinances that benefits or has something to do with the political field, like the pay to play and how much they should donate, and $300. But we'll talk about that another time. But how does that benefit the taxpayers? My difference I would make is I walk the streets. I'm Jersey City native. I know what the people need, and I know what they want. All right. I haven't seen him once fight hard for the city, go around knocking on doors and asking for petitions and far as abatements are concerned, or any kind of program to assist the people that are in need. Where they could be paying one quarter $7,000 on a 4-family home. All of a sudden, next quarter, it jumps to $15,000. Where do these people go? I'm a fighter. I don't believe he's that aggressive, because being him that he comes from a family of wealth, I don't see him needing it like that. I'm coming from the neighborhood. I'm here. I have a voice. I want to produce for my people.
To what degree do you believe that politicians can be influenced by contributions from developers and so on, to the point where you mentioned the recently enacted pay-to-play ordinance, which I believe limits the amount of money that a developer can give to a politician, whereas in the past it was a high amount that individuals and their friends and relatives and so on could contribute to a particular politician. And then in turn, of course, receive favored treatment, for development and so on. In other words, can get an abatement or whatever. Now, that doesn't mean that, not saying that anyone is doing anything illegal, but it certainly influences people in that way. In other words, giving someone a contribution as opposed to not giving them a contribution, you would be more inclined to get the abatement than the guy who doesn't give the contribution.
I might give a cheaper price.
Yeah.
Without giving it, without giving it.
So how does that influence all of this stuff with in pay to play and the abatement process and so on? Do you believe that abatements should continue to go on?
I believe abatements continue to go on, but again, it should be watched either by the state or there should be a cap on it. Well, it's getting crazy now with these big buildings. You got the Golden Sachs half empty. Who's paying for these empty spaces? Well, you got the Beacon. Right. They want to revise.
A very interesting point, because just as we're talking today,
this is it.
We're on the verge of an economic crisis in the United States.
That's right.
And this was something that perhaps we didn't know about, 2 weeks ago. We didn't know about 2 weeks ago. Certainly, it's my belief that people in the business community knew about it, probably knew about it for some time, and all of a sudden the bottom falls out, and now, just like it happened in the 30s with the Great Depression, the bottom could easily fall out with this. And of course, this time around, the stakes are much higher, because one, the country's at war, there is a recession obviously going on, and all of that has a trickle-down effect to our local community. Everything is, as someone once said, all politics is local or something, but the fact is, it hurts you and me on a one-to-one basis in the country. If something costs more nationally, gas, for instance, we're going to be paying more.
Right down the line.
So, this is a drastic time, and I think if ever there was a time to review this entire process about the abatements and the pay-to-play and what this and that, how these people influence. In other words, here's my question: to what degree does a developer influence the government as opposed to you and me? Do we have as equal a say as they do?
No.
Or can they just call their own shots?
Today, it seems like they're calling their own shots.
Okay.
And that whatever benefits them. They're calling their shots what benefits them, not the people. Again, it affects the taxpayers all over the infrastructure. It affects everybody. They have the Beacon, the developers are asking for a revised tax abatement. Right. Now, again, we as a homeowner, if our taxes go up, what do they do for us? Nothing. Now they want to revise it, so now the city's going to lose more now. That's less money for us at the taxpayer's expense, because now they want to revise the tax abatement because the sales are not moving. The development on the condos are outpriced, where you get an average person that's making $50,000 can't live here, can't even buy a condo. The way the economy is now, with banks lending, they can't stay here. So now they can't rent it out or sell. So the prices are out of whack with the developers. I mean, there's nothing going on for the middle class working person in the city.
Or even the people who
Or
are
in the people
in the
that
bottom, below that.
are below that,
Yeah,
poor.
right. Which,
The poor, nothing here.
and that,
you know,
line,
you get
that
people,
line is kind of blurred today because we talk a lot about middle class and low income people, but low income people doesn't mean you're in the streets.
No.
But low income, what it was like, say for instance, in the 50s or 60s, where $1,000 was $1 million.
Right.
Today, $1 million is nothing.
Nothing. Right. You get about 2 weeks ago they said the average household income increased to $58,000 a year. What are you going to do with that? You have a mortgage, you have your taxes and everything included.
Foreclosures
are coming up. Now, when you apply for a mortgage, doesn't your taxes get? Some people include that in their mortgage. Is that going to increase the mortgage? So that's going to increase the mortgage. Your payments become higher. You're having a hard time renting it out because the rent for one bedroom is maybe $1,600 a month. Come on, politicians, where are these people going to go? Now you're going to say you're producer for us? How could you be producer for us?
So what's the next step? What do you? Let me go back a minute. Let me ask you a couple of questions. There are certain things that happen in Jersey City from time to time, Frank, that we become aware of only because they become, in other words, they affect you and me personally, and we notice them and so on. Let me give you.
Can I answer another question though?
What was?
Well, when I'm talking about with the development and all, I mean.
Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah. Go ahead, finish your point on development.
Because with the development, what I would do, and they would say, well, Frank, how are you going to solve the money problem? And well, look, I'm going to tell you what. From Department of Public Works all the way down to the police department, the fire department, you got to get the scissors out and start trimming and see if we're overemployed, see what the salaries are, see what the director's salaries are, and everybody. I'm sure we could pull in millions of dollars, all right, and cut out the pork barrel spending. This spending is, I mean, there's construction sites, construction contractors working on the streets. You could get a police officer quicker there than calling up 911.
Now, the police officers that work these construction sites, they're paid by the people who are doing the work. For instance, like if it's a construction company or whatever, they're paid. Or if I have work done in front of my house, I ultimately have to pay the price to have a police officer here.
You're paying, but I also am aware that they give the city, I believe, $5 or $10.
Like a surcharge
that the city gets.
Okay.
Which I would increase that.
You're saying that it's only $5?
$5 or $10 like that, right?
That seems like a very small amount.
It's very small amount, right? Very small, but that's one officer every different. Right. I would increase that. These contractors have money. They're not even being contracted from here. They're out of towners. Nobody gets employed here.
Well, now this is an interesting point. Sometimes we notice things because they affect us. Okay, if we see something that affects us, we become concerned.
That's right.
If it happens to somebody else, we
Absolutely.
don't necessarily know about it. But I'll give you an example of something that I've observed recently, and that's been brought to my attention by a number of people, and that is the Jersey City Parking Authority has recently accelerated a program where what they do now is, along with the booting process, where originally the booting process was devised to prevent people from parking in residential streets as a commuter, somebody from out of town or with out-of-state plates, who would park here and then leave for the day and go elsewhere and then come back, and of course it takes up a lot of parking spaces. But recently, in the last year or so, it's become more evident that the Jersey City Parking Authority has vigorously gone after service people who are plumbers and carpenters who are coming to your building to fix your plumbing or do some work, people who make deliveries and so on. Moving trucks have gotten the boot. Now this to me seems to be not a good way to be using the city's resources to make to create a bad environment for the homeowner or the resident who needs that service. And now what this person who was delivering your goods or moving your furniture is going to get a boot, so it's not only the price of the ticket, which is a hefty maybe $100 or so, you got to pay for the price of getting the boot removed. Now that's punitive in my mind. It's like it's punishing somebody for just doing their job, and it doesn't make for good community relations, so to speak. Most of the parking authority's policy of booting, service people and so on, seems to be limited to Ward A. So Ward E is not like unlike other areas of the city, but it seems to me that there's more focus on doing that type of thing in downtown and Ward E. How do you feel about that?
Well, here it is. They want to boot the guy that's coming to work and making and spend the money in the city.
Right.
To me, it's corrupt.
Yeah.
All right, and the price is out of the fine that, like you mentioned, or it was about $100 something.
I think it's $100
something like that.
And $100
I mean,
at the boot
all
office.
right, why not $30?
Yeah.
Why not $50? You know, plus your ticket. And I believe if you have outstanding tickets, I
But
think.
why shouldn't you be allowed, say, for instance, as an example? I mean, I've had this happen to me, you know, and I know firsthand that. Why shouldn't it be that if somebody's coming in here reasonably to do something and they're here for 3 or 4 hours or whatever, you know, to fix my pipes or whatever, that they should have to walk out of the house and be faced with that type of a thing? You understand?
I understand. I would do away booting commercial vehicles because number one, they're not going to stay there overnight. They can't park on the street.
That's correct. Yeah.
All right, they're not allowed to park on the street only during working hours. Now, I would abolish it. During commercial vehicles, they're providing for us. They spend the money here. They patronize small businesses for lunch. Mm-hmm. Why would you want to? Why are you deterring them from doing work here? Yeah. They got to charge maybe $300 to put a bathtub in. Now they go outside. They got a boot on their car. Mm-hmm. So now the guys losing money.
And then what happens is they don't want to come down.
They don't want to come back anymore. I don't why it's not worth it. Right. We got to run outside. I got grease on my hand. I got to go run outside and move my truck because I'm afraid to get booted. Plus the ticket. Plus now I got to go to court if I got to fight it. And court's no joke up there. It's, it's a party over here.
Lack of parking and so on. Frank, let me ask you. As a downtown resident, when did your family come to Jersey City? How long ago?
My grandparents immigrated from Italy in the early 1918.
Okay.
And,
so you've been established. You're a resident.
Yes.
You know the nitty-gritty of Jersey City. You've seen the good times and some bad times.
Yes.
What would you identify as the most important issue in prompting you to run for downtown councilman, Ward E? Or the main important issue that Jersey City is faced with? Is it the government? Is it the government that we have to confront? Because obviously, as we said earlier, everything emanates from the government. It comes down, there's a trickle down from the government. If the person in charge says do this, that's the way it's done. Right. Is there a lack of accountability? What do you identify as the most important issue in your run for council?
City Hall. There's no integrity in City Hall whatsoever. I don't ever see one of these council people go to Trenton and just let them know get them on their feet here. What are they doing for us here? What are they supplying for us? There's no accountability even over there. But we as a council together as a team along with the mayor supposed to be fighting for the people here, the taxpayers. The tax is my number one issue. I mean, because they'll make you homeless. They'll make a poor person homeless that worked hard to buy a building. Now he can't keep the building because foreclosure, or maybe it's paid off, but the tax is going out of the way. He can't rent it out. People don't want to come here. So the taxes are number one. It's a chain reaction all the way down the line. And again, it's the politicians that are filling their pockets at the expense of us. And you're not going to find anybody like me. You're not going to find any, guaranteed. All they do is come up with these ideas during election time. All you start doing is seeing more police on the street during election time. Let's be 365 days, all right, all the time. This should be happening, not just during election time, all right? And never mind putting flowers here, flowers there. I love flowers and trees, but people want to see more money in their pockets. They want to see less taxes. Our sewage and water rates always increases. All we do is go up and up. Everything goes up and up. And we can't stay here. And the industry, it's not there.
The infrastructure
is suffering.
But the new infrastructure that's being built, all the new development sites and so on, require new plumbing, new sewer lines, and new systems and so on, that obviously have a great impact on downtown or Ward E, mainly because downtown Ward E was constructed from what was basically marshland 200 years ago. So a lot of the downtown section are in flood zones. And you know, when heavy rainstorms and so on, we do flood out and that type of thing. But that's only like an aggravating factor in the whole thing are these things that come up like the flooding and what have you. But the key ingredient, the key thing that I think you're pointing at is inaccountability on the government's part in Jersey City.
Jersey City.
So you as one man starting off now in your quest for the downtown councilman seat, you've made some good points. But how do you go after the what can you do to dramatize
Well,
this
first of all,
for the residents who really don't get concerned with this thing?
If elected, me and the rest of the newly elected council people, along with the mayor, we have to get together and stop this puppet show all the time. You know, I don't know if you're at the council meetings, but they do more arguing back and forth over to me, it's unnecessary argument. You know, they don't talk about the facts, and, you know, they seem to, after the meetings, they have coffee clutches, or they'll meet each other at a local bar and talk about this and that and laugh with each other after they just hug each other at the council meeting to give a show. You know, I'm just tired of it. I'm just tired of this plastic in front of the people, all right? I want to pull that shade up, all right? So we have to get along, and as a government, you know, as worker, for the government, we have to have, again, I'm going to say it over and over, accountability, all right? We have to put these other council people on the spot where if we don't do this, let it reflect them. Let it be known that you wanted this done, and my fellow government officials didn't go along with it. You know, that doesn't make them look good on their record. Let's bring it out broadly. Let's bring it out broadly. Take it to Trent, wherever you have to go, take it.
What people, groups, for instance, they know of your running now and so forth. Do you have support from any community groups or anybody in particular at this point, or you know you're making it a point to visit with these groups and so on, like attend their meetings or whatever they may be?
That's what I've been doing. I've been attending local meetings, and I've been I attend the council meetings, and I have big support from the infrastructure of the city.
Frank, I think one of the things I think you'd agree with me on is that the city has a lack of recreational facilities or programs for the city's youth. Now,
again, years ago, that's all you had was pools all over, activities all over. I mean, today you don't have that. Again, they have a few parks. By the way, the embankment. You're going to talk about the embankment. I'm in favor of that embankment. I would like to see a big park up there with pools and, you know, a lot of.
How do you maintain it if you don't have the services?
Well, again, I believe we have services, but if we have to do work with the youth in the jail, I'm focusing on the youth in the jail because the system has done nothing for them.
People with minor offenses.
Right, minor offenses like maybe bagging marijuana or child support. I'm not talking about armed robbery or murder or anything like that. You know, people that are not a threat to the community. Let's give them an incentive. I mean, let's give them faith in the system. Give them a chance to get out 4 or 5 hours a day and maintain the park, or, you know, under supervision of correction officers, you know, like they would do like when they sweep the streets. Do away with some street cleaning or increase the street cleaning. Use these kids that are in the jail. They're not up. They're hurting them more. You know, let them get out. Let them feel the system. The system is made, to me, in my opinion, for these individuals to stay in jail and keep the court system moving.
Talk to other businessmen in Jersey City, downtown particularly, about these issues?
I walk Newark Avenue a lot, and I see guys on the street. And
you share their concerns? And
yeah, sure I do. And they talk about filth. I mean, my block, where I'm at, I have a receptacle there. About 4 or 5 years ago, I had the city install twice a receptacle, you know, the metal ones. And people from their houses were throwing their garbage in and dog feces, and it made it worse.
Wow.
So I had it removed. So then I put a flower pot. Years ago, I used to put big flower pots out. Yeah. I had that put there. That was turned over. Then you smell urine. You know, it's a disgrace. So what I did was I waited a little while. I tried it again. No good. And the bolts are on my sidewalk to prove it from the receptacle. Yeah. So now I put my own plastic receptacle out with the garbage can. And you know, the Ferris kids, they come to the pizzeria for pizza. Dickinson, they actually walk down because I give a slice out for $1 for them. It's regular $2. I take $1 off.
And the exercise is good for them.
So the volume is there. And when they're done, me or my employees, they go outside, we pick up the paper plates and clean, and that's it. And I even have a sign in the store, please do not litter. And if they ask for a bag, I tell them $0.25.
Wow.
I try to deter them from taking the bag because I know what they're going to do. They're going to throw it on the street a block away, and I can't run a block away. So I say every owner of the property or should just keep their area clean. I'll do my best to keep mine and my neighbors clean. I can't do the whole block. You know, again, let's put the city to work. You know, let's be a neighborhood. And I don't think these politicians really, they're not, their heart's not there. Their heart's not there. And I bet damn, I will not let that down. I would get along with my fellow council people and let's work together for the people.
Sum it up. You're running for councilman in downtown Ward E. What are you going to do from today on? What are you going to do? How are you going to approach your campaign? You know, and so on. Just talk to the people and let them know what you're going to do.
First of all, my main issue is the taxes. We have to focus on taxes and keep them stable by looking into every department that the city has, seeing how many employees there are and what the salaries are. I believe there's much overspending from Department of Public Works all the way down to the police department and fire department.
And one last time for the people, what's your phone number again?
My phone number again is 201-401-7572, and I'd like to hear your issues and complaints, and I really will look forward to meeting you.
Tell them where your shop is in case they want to stop.
Frank's Pizzeria on Monmouth Street, 415.5 Monmouth Street, between 3rd and 4th.
Okay. Well, Frank, you know, you've touched on a lot of things today, and your ideas sound strong, and it seems like you're really determined to go through with this. And I certainly wish you a lot of luck. It's going to be, it's a major hill to climb. Let's put it that way. But it looks like you're ready to do it.
I'm ready to do it.
So I wish you well, my
Thank
friend,
you
and I
very
hope
much.
everything goes okay.
Thank you. It was a pleasure. Thank you very much.
This is Charles Balser. Our guest today has been Frank Scalcione, candidate for council in Ward E, Jersey City. Thank you, and good evening.